Yes, down.
Fair enough. That's why I gotta make sure. So before I send.
About 15 minutes. This is the business.
Okay, all right, I will go ahead and.
Said, one item, then you copy what I made do.
Make sure I can.
So you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready all your stuff?
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't go to I didn't know if I should address that or not.
I don't say. Hello.
So I have, the attorney, nobody's meeting. So during everything, and then I leave, I have a lot of merchants and First Federal both, got sick today, and then stopped writing, and I tried to drop it off, they asked me to. Yes, I have, I just got that information, I'll call them in the morning, and give them I also, I just emailed it to you. Oh, that's all right. So, they're not really saying that discuss. So I still did that additional copy and only sent it to 8 people. She sent people.
Too far forward.
Right next to the house that Glenn does.
And
I did see that.
so I said. Before I put it out. And so, sure, it was for me to get
All fine. They're gonna talk about it on Monday. That's how the, I mean, I was gonna tell them. I'm still waiting on all this stuff. So they said. It was,
You're welcome. Oh, you're not talking to me. No, what you don't message.
Make it get on that chair, but.
Thank you.
We discussed all of this. You're still. The next question there.
But this is pretty much stuff.
It's all certain. I don't think that.
That's right. You're right. Never thought of it.
Represents. Yeah.
Redberry Road. You can take a puppy to drop off at your front door. Took that puppy up to the picnic, and we left him there.
Hey, did you get that? You got mentioned about the line? So that- Yeah.
On October 10th.
Listen up, guys. Time to start. Called at 6:30, called order the London City Council meeting for July 28th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Belkey.
Hey, we're gonna get this meeting started. Thank you. Here.
Bennett. Cornish.
Here.
Farrell.
Here.
Marcinkowski. Smith.
Stevenson, Washington,
That it? Okay. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We now need a motion to approve the omnibus agenda.
So moved.
You got a second, Charlie? Or Arnie, I should tell.
you get it?
Yeah. Any discussion? Hey, Paul, roll call?
Bennett,
Yes.
Cornish,
Yes.
Pharaoh,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Here.
yes or no?
Yeah.
Washington and Belkey.
Yes.
That's it. Okay, now I have a presentation by the Plan Commission.
Yep, it'll be short. Apologies for last time, but you're like you, we're volunteers and couldn't get anybody to stand in for me. But I think we only had one matter that was left, and that was the 218 Herman, and I guess there were some questions, so I thought I'd come, but let me kind of give you the background, the overview, and then see what questions you have real quick. So we first heard this in 2019, okay, and this property, if you look at a map, it's the section like where George, for longtime residents, where George Baum lived, kind of out there, it's pasture land, okay? There's a house that's in a residential, and then this entire property is beyond that is pasture land, or it's being farmed right now. And so the owner asked for a special use permit back in 2019, in case they wanted to have a few farm animals. So that was given in 2019, but it had 3-year expiration on it. Okay, so it didn't get caught that it expired, so it just kind of rolled over. But when it was realized, then we had a hearing in May to renew that special use permit. The owner could not be at the meeting that night, so there was a little bit of, it wasn't quite clarified enough, but essentially, it was approved by the Plan Commission, or recommend for approval is the right term. And since I couldn't be there and I couldn't answer questions, or actually, I think it made it all the way through. I think it, didn't it, the first one back in May got, and so what the clarification here is, it's only for the owner that's asking, okay, so it can't be passed on. But I think, it included animals, but it didn't name horses. Okay, so this is just adding horses. Now, will she ever have it? Probably not. But one of the things that she pointed out was, you know, she is trying to market the property, and it's not so that she can pass it on, but it's to show an owner that, hey, you could, you know, the city was willing to discuss that. Whoever would buy it has to come in for the same thing. So it's sort of an amendment to the previous one. I don't know what the right legal term is. I'll let the lawyer decide that. But it's basically, it should have been in the first one, and it was, you know, kind of miscommunication through the whole process. But it is essentially, it would have to have a fence. It can't be an electric fence. And, you know, again, there's not any animals out there now, but, you know, just traditional farm animals, goats, but it didn't name horses. If it were in the middle of town, or if you remember, we've had, like, I live out in McHenry Park. There was a property out there at one point that had a barn and some horses. They had to get a special use permit because that was in the city. It didn't really present any problems, but we would, I do not see the Plan Commission approving something that's in town, okay? This is really just the outskirts of town, but it is in the community, so they have to ask. And if it's going north on 4, if you look to the right, it's at kind of those acres over that way, being farmed right now. So, you know, it's agricultural, that property. But it would, I mean, since there's a house in the owned portion, it really needs to have special use permit. But I think, is she here? No, but I think, you know, one of the things she pointed out is to a seller who was looking for that type of property, if we would turn it down, that might hurt the ability to sell it. Again, they can't just pass that special use permit. They would have to bring their own plan, and I think this limited it to 17 animals, which for that size of parcel is not big. So that's my spiel. If you have any questions. It's just a recommendation, and I think it's a recommendation at this point to amend the ordinance that was passed on the May. I don't know if it was May or June when that was signed, but
For a 3-year period.
for a 3-year period, yeah. Yeah, it's okay to have you know, it's prudent to have a review period or change of control. If it changes control, then the new owner would have to come back. So,
For clarification purposes, the new ordinance did not have a 3-year.
okay, I could not remember if we did that. Again, yeah, I don't know that it's that big. I don't think it matters as much since there hasn't been animals and a new owner, she's gonna try to sell it. A new owner would have to ask again. And we would probably do that. We'd probably put a time limit on the new one, just so we can see how it goes, right? This one is really more of, it's for show more than actually doing
Help her
something.
sell it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so you could make it 3 years, 2 years. I wouldn't go a year because you never know, but that's what this is about. It's kind of an update. So.
Brent, did you have an update on the group home thing?
Yeah, so we, we held the hearing. I gave you the report. We have to continue that public hearing. We need a bigger venue. We couldn't, the recording did work though. I was a little skeptical when some of the folks jumped off that it was still recording, but so we got that, but there's still people that want to speak about it. So I've asked the school, if they would let us use the grade school gymnasium. They're agreeable to that. Go ahead.
How many people are pushing,
I
questioning?
Well, so I think there were, the only two that spoke sort of favorably about it was the seller of the house and the company that was wanting to put it in. There was, and I've got if you listen to the recording, it's kind of got who, and I think you have the sign-in sheet, so we
Yeah.
kind of know who was there and all that, and we would have to continue that, but there were a few more people that certainly wanted to talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's
How many
really,
more?
oh, I would say there was at least 10.
Oh.
And they only get 5 minutes, but we were here for an hour and 45 minutes and we weren't gonna get done that night, okay? So we just kind of left it there and said we'd pick this up. But finding a venue's been an issue, so we're past our meeting for next week. The soonest we could do it's the 21st, so Paul and I were trying to talk about that. But I think we're gonna be missing too many members and we're gonna have to go the September 3rd or 4th, the regular meeting. The gym is open and they're agreeable to that at the school. So we're not trying to delay it, okay, but it's a process and, there's not many venues in town where it would work, where you got internet, where you can set up the recording and all that. I mean, there's places in town, right? But, we were looking for something that was air conditioning, comfortable, and had recording ability or internet ability. So, Paul, we'll have to talk, Sylvia at the school would be able to get us, access. I think they have a public and a private network, but we'll figure that out so that recording can work. And she knows owls, so we should be able to figure it out. But it doesn't look to me, I got too many responses, vacations. So I think the 4th would be our regular meeting in September. So best we can do. I think most of the discussion was around public safety. Comments, and not that you can always compare one to another, but the one we have out there is presented a lot of issues. So, it wasn't just neighbors. It was folks in that whole area, but you know, there were others as well that spoke about it. I don't know if you have any other questions.
No, I think it's it.
I do have a
Okay.
question on 218.
Yeah.
Did you discuss limiting the number of horses? Because the original approval was based on X number of goats, X Y number of cows, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so, and I think there was also an upper end limit on animals, period. I think there was 17.
Okay.
So I don't think, for that size of property, I don't think it'd be a problem. I mean, 17 horses is pretty expensive, but to your point, I don't think we discussed whether, you know, it would matter, because I think, you know, of farm animals is what was asked for. We had originally just goats and maybe cows in the original one back in 19. So I think we didn't address that specifically. But we did not change the 7, whatever the number was in the original, the number of animals. And again, it'd have to be fenced, but no electric fences.
Is that a recommendation for tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, you can change that if you want to limit the number of horses. I don't think we have a problem with it, but more than one for sure.
I'll do a motion that we ask the city attorney to prepare the resolutions and ordinance for this to occur. The number of horses, 17 total animals, we don't care, mix.
Need a second? Have a second?
Did you repeat that, John?
Okay, I'm moving that we direct the city attorney to prepare the ordinance and the resolutions for this to occur with the maximum of 17 animals.
I said.
You got a second? Okay. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Cornish,
Yes.
Pharaoh,
Yes,
Stevenson.
Yeah.
Washington,
Yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
and Bennett.
Okay, now we have Jared from Moran for his presentation about TIF 2.
Yeah, so we're still in the planning phase for TIF 2. But what we did was we put together sort of an overview about TIF, how it works, sort of as a refresher for everybody. And we spoke to the chamber last week, spoke to the group who gave us presentations. We thought we'd go ahead and share it with the city council, and also sort of give an update. So what we are looking at is the potential establishment of TIF 2. The boundary map you have and the materials is a little bit different than what we handed out, and I'll get to the new map as we go through it. But basically, TIF is a redevelopment tool that municipalities use for economic development and also make improvements in a boundary area. The city currently has one TIF already, so this would be TIF District 2, and as you can see on the map, the relative location of the proposed TIF 2 to the existing TIF 1 area, and a couple other maps. And like I said, we have a new map tonight, which would sort of just be another option, and I'll get to that. But basically, if you get to the what is TIF slide, this is the nuts and bolts of how TIF works. TIF is not a property tax increase. It has no bearing on how much taxes are paid. It's more so what future taxes, how they're directed, and sort of a tool that you can leverage to cause an increase in those future taxes, which then gives you revenues for redevelopment type projects. So you can see you have a TIF start date, and that establishes your TIF base value. As properties in that area appreciate in value, it's not, again, any change in the amount of taxes that would be paid on these properties. It's that the amount of taxes paid for the appreciation of properties gets diverted into a TIF fund. So in the chart there, you can see that the taxing bodies will continue to tax on all the values at the time the TIF was established. It's the taxes that are paid on the increase in that value, which goes into the TIF fund. And then at the end of the TIF, all of that assessed value goes back on the tax rolls for all the taxing bodies, each tax on. So the use of TIF, typically, it's for projects like infrastructure, utilities, building rehab, repair, things like that. You are limited by state statute of what you can use TIF revenues for. So there's a list of only certain eligible costs, and you can only use them for projects within a TIF boundary area. So in a lot of cases, folks will say, you know, why are these houses in the area, or why is this property in, why is this property in? Sometimes it's just a matter of getting to point A to Z, so we have to take parcels in full. So particularly in the boundary area here, we knew that downtown here was a priority, and then as well as US 50. So to incorporate both of those areas in the same TIF, we have to make sure they're all included by taking parcels from here to there. And so part of the boundary map that we shared tonight would sort of present an alternative option to get both of those priority areas by going a different route, essentially. So instead of down Belleville Street, we could potentially go up, take the school property in, and then connect there along Route 4. Which is to say, we're still in the planning phases. We haven't determined the final boundary. And there's complication with this particular TIF because of some annexations that we're trying to sort out. So hopefully those annexations, the property owners will be amenable to coming into the city. But if they're not, we can't put those properties into the TIF. So that will cause us to have to redraw this boundary area and do a little bit more planning on that front. So again, very much in the preliminary stage, but after speaking with some folks at the chamber meeting, we did want to present what could be another option, which would be that new map that we gave tonight. But back to the use of TIF funds, repair, remodeling, renovating, and other similar structural improvements, infrastructure and utility improvements, water, sewer, other utilities, both the extension of those utilities to properties that don't have any services, and also upgrading existing services. Aged water lines, aged sewer lines, those are big uses of TIF funds. A lot of times those systems are undersized. You might have breakages. You might have certain costs that you're using to keep those repaired and keep them working. So all those things would be uses of TIF, eligible uses of TIF. Also sidewalks, streets, anything like that, those type of public projects, that's all eligible for TIF as well. There's also survey studies, engineering, consulting, planning, all those sort of professional fees that might come with both doing TIF projects, or if a developer has those type of fees, those would be eligible for reimbursement to the TIF as well. Some common misconceptions about TIF. As I said, TIF does not add an additional tax levy or raise the overall tax rate. In the packet, we have a couple of examples of some property tax bills, which sort of illustrate that point. But a lot of people think that in order to get money, the TIF has to be causing an increase in property taxes. It does not have any sort of tax rate, so whether your TIFs in or properties in TIF or not, you would still pay the same property tax rate on your full assessed value. A TIF does not have any control over what you could do with the property. It has nothing to do with zoning, has nothing to do with any other developmental regulations. If there is a home that happens to be in a TIF boundary, it's not to say that that home is now dedicated as commercial use or anything else. Any development that were to happen in a TIF would still be subject to the same zoning and other local codes. So you can't, TIF doesn't let you do anything special with your property. It's merely a tool that can be helped, or that can help to facilitate some economic development. It doesn't prevent any owners from selling their property or doing anything else with the property. And again, it doesn't impose any additional laws, regulations, or other limitations. So, sure.
What's the life of that TIF?
So a TIF by statute is 23 years. You could end it earlier if you wanted. There's also the potential for an extension. But if you were to try to get an extension, it's in 12-year increments, and it has to go through the state legislature, meaning that it takes legislative change, governor approval to be able to get that extension. So basically, we're talking about a 23-year program. And also, I will say, if anybody does have any questions as I go through this, just shout. But the property tax bill example is just a quick way to show that that TIF district does not have any sort of tax rate. And so in those two examples, it would be the case of probably a new TIF where the base value is the same as current value, and you see 0% rate, $0 go into the TIF. The next example shows if that same property were to be in a TIF, and then the market value went to $250,000. Now, that would be for a variety of reasons. Usually with a jump like that, we're talking about some sort of agreement to induce the type of investment that would cause that jump, but this is just illustrating sort of the dollars. So if you look at those two properties, it would compare the one in the TIF to one that's not in the TIF. The same taxes are paid for both properties, but in the TIF example, you could see how if that $100,000 in investment came after the TIF was set up, the TIF would collect the difference between the taxes on the base value and then the taxes on the value after the improvements. So you can see that the TIF would collect $2,500. All the other taxing bodies continue to receive the taxes on that $150,000 in assessed value, which it's getting a little bit into the weeds, but it just illustrates that there's no increase in taxes, but the TIF is generating revenue. And that's the revenue you can use for projects or to help with developmental costs.
Can the TIF be changed over life?
Yes. So it can be amended at any point. You can remove parcels pretty easily. You can also add parcels, but adding parcels involves essentially the same process as the new establishment. So as we go through the establishment process, we will have a meeting of the joint review board, which is all the taxing bodies. Then we'll also have a public hearing. We'll create the redevelopment plan, the eligibility study, and it'll be, once we start, probably a 4 to 6 month long process from that initial meeting. So if you were to later decide you wanted to add properties, you would have to go through that same process again. But you can always make changes over the course of the 23-year lifespan.
Jared, the properties have to be contiguous, correct?
Correct. So unlike something like the enterprise zone that we'll get to, you can't use connecting strips. And so that's why we came up with an alternative boundary option, because we're trying to get the downtown and the 50 corridor both in the same TIF. So that the main difference between what map is shown in the packet and the map that you have tonight is sort of the connecting area between those two portions of the city. So one thing that I think has been sort of the emphasis of the city in the last handful of years is just trying to promote economic development. So part of that is, how does TIF work with what you got? You already have one TIF, but it's a pretty small footprint. It doesn't include your downtown area. So in 2023, we established the business district. A business district is similar to a TIF, but rather than dealing with property taxes, the business district is a sales tax based program. So that's been up and running for a couple of years. And you can see the boundary there. You can use it for a lot of the same costs, infrastructure, utilities, structural improvements. Business district can actually be used for new construction. That's sort of the main difference between the two programs. But there is a priority in overlaying, especially the downtown area with the new TIF, because the business district can work with the TIF. And then going to the next page, we're also in the process of finalizing the amendment to the enterprise zone. The enterprise zone is a regional tool that's controlled by the county. It includes you and 4 other municipalities, I believe. And what it does, it has a host of state level incentives. Most of those are geared toward larger commercial industrial projects. They require a certain amount of investment and jobs to be created. So, you get into the weeds on what it is all entails, but for you guys, the emphasis is going to be that enterprise zone can offer a building materials sales tax exemption on materials. So we overlaid the enterprise zone amendment with what's in the business district, and also a lot of what would be proposed for the new TIF. So what that means, so if you look on that final map there, it's sort of a jumbled mess of all your different areas, but overlaying all these together. So hypothetically, if you had someone on Main Street here that needed some infrastructure and utilities for the building, you could fund that to the TIF. You could do something like a facade improvement for the awnings, the windows. You could they need a new roof. You could fund that portion to the business district, and then you could also give that developer a certificate that when they went to buy all the materials for the project, they go into any store in Illinois, show the certificate, and they don't have to pay any sales taxes. So the business district, the TIF, and the enterprise zone are sort of the big 3 as far as locally controlled incentive programs that are available. and you can use them all together, to try to leverage that to help out, your existing business owners. Try to recruit, new development. I know that the priority for getting the enterprise zone amendment done was we had a potential, user down from the 54 area, but I think some of that interest has waned because the tools weren't in place at the time when they were looking. So in addition to helping out all your existing folks, these programs are a big tool as far as business recruitment, business expansion, business retention, all of that.
The tip that St. Clair
Mhm.
and that can go over to Scuda and the airport,
Are you talking about the enterprise zone?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's, we participate in that.
Yeah, so the enterprise zone is, by and large a state program, but you can use connecting strips between 3 and 10 feet to get wherever you need to go. And with the amount of municipalities you have, you give a 20 square mile limit.
So
So
who pays for that?
for the enterprise zone,
Uh-huh.
whenever there is an amendment, say in this case, when you guys wanted to amend to include more property in the city pays for all the fees to do the application, but the other folks are still required to participate. When it was all set up, I think it was done in a way where every municipality in the county each paid a portion to get it set up.
So the lumber, let's say, that a builder may use, okay,
Mhm.
and if that's in a Scuda, let's say, we don't get a benefit of that, do we?
Get a benefit of if,
And the tip and the funds. Is there any interaction with that?
no, so, the impact as far as the exemption on building materials. You have to use it in Illinois, and technically, if someone was buying those materials from the city, they would be exempted on the full sales tax, so the city could miss out on some of the sales tax you would have collected. And that, somebody in Scuda could come buy the materials here, that would be sort of the only impact between municipalities, really. But again, it's being able to tell your developers, tell your builders that they can, if it's in this area.
There's no blanket, where they all share in the revenue.
No, so the enterprise zone is more based on incentives in the
Just the
form.
area, but not any, funds.
Yeah, so there's no fun, the enterprise zone does have property tax abatement, which can be thought of similar to how TIF can work in practice. But no properties in a TIF are eligible for the abatement, so that's why it's less important for the city here if they're all gonna overlay. But also the abatement, the developer of the project is never paying those taxes. Whereas a TIF collects the money, then usually is a reimbursement back. The municipality gets some. So in all the cases of the enterprise zone, there's no real fund created because it's all in the form of tax breaks. Whereas something like a TIF, you're still collecting the revenue. And then you can use it as a reimbursement for projects.
But is there any sharing of those funds like at the airport?
Sharing of which funds?
The funds generated by the TIP?
Funds.
So the TIF would be exclusively controlled by the city. And it's only property in the city. The TIF doesn't involve any of the other, it's only the enterprise zone that involves the other entities in the county. The TIF is exclusive to the city. Muscuda has several TIFs, O'Fallon has TIFs, all of those are locally controlled. And they can only contain property in the municipality, which going back to this boundary area, we need some annexations to occur if the boundary is gonna look as it's shown, because not all those properties are currently in the city. So anything TIF wise, you guys make all your decisions yourself. But with that, like I said, we're still in the sort of preliminary phases. I do think, for a variety of reasons, maybe a revision of the map as we showed tonight might be more ideal. And we'll sort of refine that as we go, but the next steps are going to be working through some of the annexations, and then I think once we firm up the map and know which direction we're gonna go with, on our end, we will prepare the schedule of events, we'll coordinate all of that, but also we were going to meet with the school district. That was a priority to sit down and speak with them, just because the nature of how property taxes work, they are the most potential impacted taxing body. So we want to make sure that they are on board with the plan, and supportive of what the city is looking to do. But again, once we sort out some of the annexations, some of those other boundary questions, then we'll actually get started. Once we do start the actual process, a lot of it's dictated by statute. You can only do things within a certain time frame. So we'll more or less be set on a track, and you'll know here's the start and when we're going to end. And so we'll be there to guide you through all that. But as it stands, we're still kind of working out the area. So once everyone has a chance to review the map, if there are any notes, please let me know. And if there are any questions, we'll be happy to work to.
When will we be able to present something to the citizen?
We will, so as soon as we have the eligibility study done, that gets put on file here at the city for anybody to review. And then there's a notice that gets published twice in the paper for the public hearing. Everyone in the TIF boundary gets a certified letter. Every resident within 750 feet of the TIF boundary gets a normal letter. And so that's how we spread the word around to try to let everybody know about the public hearing, where they can come and.
Because we don't have a paper.
Yeah, it's a paper of general circulation is a requirement, so the next closest thing. But you can also post on your social media stuff with the public hearing and however else you normally get the word out.
A big sign up right here, huh?
So you put a big sign up right there.
Jared, I'm gonna ask you two questions for their purpose.
Sure.
Can you talk to them about the impact? Because one way or another, the new tip will take parcels from the old tip. What impact that has for those specific ones?
Yeah, so the properties we identified that are in TIF 1 currently, when they come out of TIF 1, the base value of all those properties will be reset. So you can take them out TIF 1, put them in TIF 2, that's not a problem. But what will happen is that any money that they were generating into your existing TIF will go away because you're resetting the value and you're putting it into a new TIF. So when we evaluated what we could put in the new TIF, we were very careful to not take out anything that was generating too much money, because then you'll take away money from TIF 1 for the remaining years of that TIF. So that's why we didn't want to take too much. The properties that are in TIF 1 that we identified, I think it's less than $1,000 annually they generate into the fund. So it's really not much, but yeah, that's a good point.
And then the second question, just for the Belleville Street, that would match, that would overlay with this district and the enterprise zone. That's why that was the coverage.
Yeah, and so it was thought of, because without the annexations, we had to sort of loop all the way around. But now that we're sort of angling toward the annexations, I think that might be an option. I would recommend going up the central portion rather than including all the residences going all the way around. I think it makes more sense for a variety of reasons, but we won't know the viability of that option until we work through some of the annexations.
Anybody have any questions for Jared? You done then, Jared?
I am done.
Okay.
I've taken up enough time.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll move on to the audience. Anyone in the audience have anything to say?
You go ahead.
I do have to leave, but I just, Brentwood, on behalf of the school district treasurer. There'll be a lot of discussion about this. When I see property that's already existing stuck, you know, I'm not sure, maybe it's to get to some property. But when I see most of the property has nothing in it right now, the school district, as you know, is a bit distressed, working through it, working out of it. But one of the things that's helped us immensely the last 2 years is property values. Our EAV's gone up, and you know, 23 years is a long time. So I will just, I think Carl's gonna talk, he'll talk more about details, but just please sit down with the city or with the school district, and I would plan on a bigger when you have that hearing, I would plan on
Bigger venue.
being at the school or somewhere, because I think there's gonna be a lot of discussion.
I agree, I agree.
Thank you, Brett. Anyone else? Okay, Carl?
Good evening. My name's Carl Holman. I'm retired State Board of Education, School Finance Division. So I've seen a lot of TIFs and a lot of school districts and financial areas, but I was at the chamber meeting when the original map was presented, were members of the chamber. So I guess I heard tonight the map has changed because originally at the chamber meeting, you were going to TIF Belleville Street. Is that blighted? Is that run down? What's the definition of blight? The school, and I'm gonna be in support of our local school district because as Brent said, they're in financial troubles. And when I say EAV, I just want everybody to know equalized assessed valuation. Why don't we just TIF the entire town if that's all we care about? And during the TIF presentation, I kept hearing, existing residential areas. Why, and I know it's contiguous and we have to do contiguous to get the boundaries, but why are we taking, the existing residential areas? I'm strongly opposed to including any existing residential area or developed business area because Farmers and Merchant Bank, that area out there, that's going to be in the TIF. And again, I apologize. I'm going by the map. If the map is changed tonight, I'd be very interested in seeing it. And as the city council, are you saying all this area is blighted? I didn't realize home values were declining in this area. But maybe the real reason to include the bigger area, we have to make the TIF fund greater. Because TIF fund number one is only $1.5 million. And that generates $130,000 a year. This local school district is 66% of that tax revenue coming into TIF one, $86,000. So if we would do, the vacant areas down by Route 50, the TIF fund couldn't generate enough tax dollars until the new development was started and then the EAV keeps increasing. So, and I hear you're not taking tax dollars away from local taxing bodies, local school district. If you TIF existing property, you're basically freezing that EAV. So that school district is going to be for 23 years those properties in the TIF that have development, that have homes, that EAV is frozen. So that school district is not going to get the benefit of township multiplier, quarterly reassessment by the county. And one thing that, and I'm not surprised, I talked to Dr. Noyes, the local school district superintendent. He wasn't even aware of TIF number 2. So what are you going to do? Get the final plan developed, then share it with the local school district? He had another commitment, otherwise he would have been here tonight. So I hope in the discussion and the future, because I know the city can go ahead with the TIF and they don't need any approval. It's only after 23 years that you have to go back to the taxing bodies to get their approval. So now you can do it however, whatever you want. So I just hope you consider the local school district and the TIF agreement and carve out some funds so they can somewhat be made whole. So, and if we look at the historical EAV trends, and I hope somebody does this, but when you bring in this existing property, look at the historical EAV trends. I would bet they're increasing. I mean, we've had a township multiplier of 5%. So to me, EAVs are increasing. But now with the TIF, you're going to freeze the EAV. So, and I would like to see, when you're considering all of this, what's the current equalized assessed value of the entire TIF 2 area? Then take out the residential EAVs, the existing business EAVs, to see really what the base EAV is of that area. Because as I stated before, the TIF number 1, the city sits at only an EAV of 1.5 million.
Carl,
So,
give about 1 minute.
okay, thank you. And I would also want to see what is the agreement for the TIF administrator? How much money? Is it based on how much money every year the TIF generates? And it appears to me that the only individuals making any money in the TIF are the TIF administrators, because we're gonna have a closed grocery store come October. And I remember back a few years ago, we had to do TIF number 1. We had to have that grocery store. Did that really help us? I mean, what did it get for the city? And now we're gonna penalize our local taxing bodies by TIF number 2. So this is my opinion. If this town is going to thrive, we need a financially strong and viable school district and a strong city that encourages business development. I'm not against business development. We can't cut off the arm of the local school district thinking we will get business flocking to this town. Because like I say, the grocery store is closing. Let's all work together and make our town better. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Anybody else? Sharon?
Those two related ones be adjacent to each other, but
Tell everybody who you are.
yeah, getting Sharon Guile. Okay, last week, said various things about flooding, wanted to go a little further on one aspect of it. My point in bringing up the Metrolink with regard to floodwaters backing up into Lebanon was, as Cody said, with regard to the Route 4 pothole, the more people that call out the problem, the better. I need to complain to authorities. I've got it that Sean isn't going to, but if the municipality calls, that's more weight than individual citizens. So far, I have talked with Representative Schmidt about both of those issues. And so far, the result being that the Route 4 potholes are on IDOT's schedule in order to get them addressed. My guess is after they finish the I-64 repaving. In the flats, to a large extent, that is a floodplain, and you need to plan around the geological fact that it's a floodplain. However, there are things that we can do to improve the situation. And the Metroplex design exacerbates the situation. So multiple complaints to appropriate authorities can help get that situation resolved. That's all.
That's it. Thanks, Sharon. Anyone else? Okay, I guess we'll move on to older person. Anybody? No takers? Yeah. It's gonna be good tonight. Committee reports, Sean, Scusinelli.
Yeah, just one real quick thing. I had the Lions Club send me an email for, they're wanting to do their annual Lions Candy Day where they go down there between Route 4 and 50. And right up here at the West St. Louis Street, Monroe Street. This will be October 10th. And it's from 7 a.m. to 6:30. So we've all seen it where they hand out candy, you give out donations, et cetera, et cetera. It's basically just the Lions Club doing a formal. They're requesting permission to do it again. It'll be October 10th and 11th. So if anybody has any questions, by all means, get with me. That's all I really got for
We should vote.
streets.
You want to vote on it then?
Yeah, we always have it in the past.
Okay,
The problem is it's not on the agenda.
it's not on there, okay,
Yeah. So
bring it next time.
put it on the agenda for next time, make sure it just as, it can be done as a motion, it's just, it has to be on the agenda ahead of time.
Thank you, Sean. Any questions? Okay, finance, Mike's not here, so we'll move on to ordinance. George?
Ordinance is busy. We really recommends approval of the ordinance amending section 2-188 of the Lebanon City Code to establish procedures for payment of bills and approval of warrants.
It's a council committee. It doesn't need a second, so do roll call.
Farrell,
Yes,
Stevenson. Washington,
Yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Cornish,
Yes. Page order number 2.
Number 2, present for approval. This will require a motion. A resolution making separate statement of findings of fact in connection with ordinance granting special use permit to Justin Smith for a short-term rental at 619 West Shoots.
Need a motion for that?
That's the one.
Somebody made a motion, okay, need a second?
Second.
Okay, second, Ms. Washington. Any questions? Any discussion? Okay, roll call, Paul?
Stevenson,
Yeah.
Washington, Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Cornish,
Yes.
Pharaoh,
Yes.
Okay, number 3, George?
Presenting for approval, the ordinance granting special use permit to Justin Smith for a short-term rental at 619 West Shoots.
So you made the motion, then, right, George?
It was a approval. It was
Okay,
a committee of recommendation.
okay, need a second?
Second.
It's a committee recommendation.
It didn't have committee, George, it's only an answer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, roll call, please?
Washington,
Yes or no, Linda?
Yes, I thought it was the same.
what was resolution?
Oh, okay, yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Cornish,
Yes.
Pharaoh,
Yes.
and Stevenson.
Okay, is that it? Is that it?
Okay, then we will meet on August the 4th at 6:30.
Okay. Hey, Pat, water sewer?
I don't have anything unless, Penny is.
You don't have anything pending for now, right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so when do you meet, Pat? When's your next meeting, Pat?
What, August August the 18th.
Okay, thank you, sir. Cemetery is not here tonight. Health and safety, Ms. Washington.
Our next meeting is August the 18th at 6:00.
So that's, is that it? Yes, I'm no.
Am I supposed to have something?
I don't know, I'm just asking, but usually is that pause and then you have something else, I'm just asking.
Did you want me to talk about the MedStar filtering? for
You
you?
can.
I did, get the Word doc version of the MedStar contract, so based on the comments that Charlie had shared on my behalf. I made a red line of that, and I will send that to MedStar and copy. Swash on that as well, so that we can hopefully get that contract finalized.
Thank you. Public property, Amber?
I don't have anything. We'll meet again August the 4th at 6:30 p.m.
A personnel, Arnie?
Nothing for this evening.
Sure. Okay, when do you
Will
meet?
be August 18th.
Okay.
That's 6:30.
Okay, anything, Paul?
Yeah, I've got 2 items. Number
Okay.
1, I'm gonna send that probing fee discussion to the cemetery committee, which will meet on August 4th. Also, Linda Bondahar stopped in the office today, a little bit upset, and she wanted me to help out and announce this. This is about the family in Summerfield that got flooded out. And she said they're really having some troubles finding housing, even places to rent. So if any of you know, anybody that can help out, places to stay, to rent, that would be very helpful. Bring something to City Hall or contact Linda, but, they're in need, folks. And this is I think it's the Goldsmiths out of Summerfield. That's all I have.
So we got? Okay, treasurer, yes?
Just to give everybody an update, the, request for proposals, the couple changes that were recommended, I sent it to the attorney, he read over it, said everything looked good to go. So I have sent that to the local banks. I'm supposed to take it to Scott Credit Union tomorrow, the person that it needed to go to wasn't there. So, it has been sent over to First Federal and to Farmers and Merchants, and then now it is available, and I'll have it available here at City Hall for anybody, other bank that wants to call in. I also have sent it in an email in a PDF version to the clerk, to the mayor, to Stephanie, and to Heather, so that they all have it, so whoever fields calls, if a bank calls in because they hear about it or whatever, they have the information to be able to send to them, and I created an email they can just simply forward with all the dates and all the information. The only other thing is I will say on this, again, I cannot reiterate enough that it is very important that we follow the process that's outlined and that we don't answer questions via phone or amongst us, just because it has to go to all banks when we answer questions. The only copies that have been put out prior to today were marked confidential, do not copy, yet somehow it still got in the hands of a bank. So I printed handful of copies and gave them to the alderman last week, and somehow we had a bank that was able to obtain that private information, and called me today with questions that definitely indicated that they had it. So when I say like we have to follow this process, please consider it, read through it, and know that any questions have to go to the treasurer email so that I can respond to all banks involved, so that it's fair and gives a fair chance. Other than that, does anybody have any other questions for me?
Well,
Paul has,
if we get any information or request, I'm gonna send everything to you in an email on who asked for it, and that way you're the one who get in touch, because I don't want us up there not, speaking on stuff we don't know about.
And just so you guys know, I do have, Heather handles usually when we have bids come in for like if we've got something out for bids, she takes the sealed bids. I have her doing a similar process with these. So she will collect them, take a record of when they were received and initial and everything, and has them being put in a sealed file cabinet for me and everything. So we're using that similar process of logging it. So we make sure, since there is a time deadline and everything to get them in, that we have it all squared away on that end.
that it? Any questions for anybody? Nope. Okay, Luke, you got anything?
I have not heard anything else from, Creekside. I did get a little follow-up from the attorney. But as far as I know, the agreement hasn't been signed. The MedStar contract I already mentioned I'm working on. And then the last thing I have kind of on the carryover of things for me that is, vacating of Dudley Court. I finally was able to track down the original easement, granting us the utility easement. That was the final piece that I wanted before we started restarting that process. I just wanted to make sure that I could trace back to a recorded document that we had that utility easement. So that should be either in the next meeting or the meeting after that. There should be some vacated.
Okay. Sure.
On the Creekside thing, as far as like, as I'm working on this updated budget and things like that, is there a deadline as to when, or is this like, cause I know they're obviously open now, so is there a deadline, or how long does this proposal sit out on whether or not they can sign it?
But at this point, there is not a deadline to it. It was not, the ordinance did not include a provision like a sunset clause to it. Obviously, if council wanted to withdraw that, they could put that on an agenda. So that's kind of the way that would work. But until that agreement's signed, technically the tap is.
You say the tap fee is due.
Yeah. Because we don't actually waive it until.
They sign
Yeah,
it back.
executed agreement, waiving it. So,
Any more questions? Okay, it's my turn now. Just want to let everybody know again that I have hours if you want to set up a schedule to come in and talk to me from 1 to 3 on Wednesday. I mean, I'm here other times during the week. I'm not just here 2 hours on Wednesday. But if you want to come and talk to me, got 2 hours on Wednesday. Just call Paul and he'll relay the message here. One of the other things is starting August 2025, cybersecurity training will be required for each month for anyone issued a city email address. And my last one is here, I'll let you read that. What I stated before, that we're having a presentation from the SHPO IDNR on August 4th at 5 p.m. We're gonna give a PowerPoint presentation. And I have like 4 people lined up now that he's going to meet ahead of time to tell them what they can do to get certain things. Okay, George?
On a cybersecurity, are you saying that everybody who has a new laptop has to go through training each month? Or that it has to be offered monthly?
No, it has to be done every month. It's all online.
Fine.
So that's all.
Do you have anything to say on that, Michelle?
When we did our redetermination for our health and for our property casualty and workman's comp, it was something that was brought up by our cybersecurity policy. And so they have not required it, but they are recommending it. So they at some point may require us to do it, and they are recommending it. So once we get the final numbers in, we'll know for sure. But it was a recommendation of our computer company that we go ahead and initiate that because of all of the cyber stuff. So especially for our municipality. So it will come to your email once a month. It will take, the first one will take longer, 10 to 15 minutes, but generally it'll take just 10 minutes or so. And what it will be is the updated version of what the latest problem is for your municipalities concerning our cyber.
And that was partially for insurance purposes. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about that?
Cybersecurity would be here, located here for the,
It's all online.
It'll
Party,
come to your email.
party, it come to you, email us. So it doesn't say Hardy, you still know who you are, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We want the department heads, I guess. Chief?
Yes, just a couple of things. I want to thank Fire Chief and all the firemen, and ladies and gentlemen who helped put the parade and the picnic together for another successful year and safe year, I might add. Again, we didn't have any problems. Folks, you can look at the papers, you can see on the news that other communities don't have that blessing. And it was went together without a hitch. I want to thank the community as well and St. Clair County for helping us with security because we were shorthanded. And it went off without a hitch. So that's the first thing. Second thing, a couple weeks ago, we talked about accidents. And I told you that I thought the accident numbers were low through our records management system, which is all I can run from the police department. This morning, both our servers went down. So we got them back up and running. I don't know if that was just a glitch. I'm hoping that was just a glitch. But I was able to get the CAD report, which means computer-aided dispatch from CENTCOM. Excuse me. The accidents that you were inquiring about, that's still 0. But I got the report just this afternoon, and I haven't had a chance to go through it. But I can tell you this report isn't accurate for the city of Lebanon either. Because I told you through, and I think ours is going to be closer to what I thought, going from 1/1 of 21 to 7/8 of 25, and I asked them to do the same search so it would be consistent, those same dates. I had 136 accidents where they gave it to me this morning, and it was 493. I went, that ain't right. So I asked them to send the report over, and they did. And I haven't had a chance to go through the whole thing. But what jumped out at me right away is they have theirs very isolated, like how many city vehicle accidents were there, if you will. So we had 1 during that time, apparently. So I can believe that. I can believe that. Well, then the next one category might be accidents, fatal accidents. Well, it shows us having 6. And I know that ain't right. So I started looking a little closer, and every one of them are actually out of our venue, but have a Lebanon address, if you will, zip code. So I will then, if you go to accidents with no injuries, or accidents, no injuries, no lane blockage, it was 257. But that's as far as I got today. So I have to go through this and narrow it down. So I think the first number I gave you is going to be much more accurate than what this is, but this will encompass cases to where we may not have written a report because the accident was out of our venue, but we went there and assisted. So say it was in the county, so we go and we help, maybe get everything secure, county finally shows up 5 weeks later. And boom, they take the report and get it done. So maybe a couple weeks and I'll get you more accurate information, but I think my first report to you was much closer. Okay? That's all I have.
Is that it? I got a question for you then. I received a phone call today saying that this past Thursday or Friday, there was a fight outside Brewers. And they were wanting to know if any citations or whatever stuff were given for
That incident, it was a continuation incident from another location in town, and that is still under investigation.
Thanks, sir. Hey, streets, Cody?
No reports at this time.
Okay. Water, Kenny? Got nothing? Okay, I've got a small report from our building code inspector tonight. Says from the last report given June 11th until July 28th, there have been 51 inspections completed. Within these 51 inspections, there have been residential, commercial, electrical service upgrades, footings, foundations. Out of these 51 inspections, 4 of them were re-inspected. There have been 13 code violations that have been given out as well. These violation letters are a combination of grass / weeds over 8 inches tall, garbage and rubbish on property, and junk and debris, including vehicles. So that's all I have from him. Any question?
Charlie, for clarification, did you say those are letters or tickets?
Still letters, yeah, they're letters.
Just to make sure I was.
No tickets, Dave, yeah, right?
He hasn't came to me for no tickets.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Luke. Okay, we move on to unfinished business then.
Yeah,
You again, okay.
it's me again. All I can say, I guess he's got all the stats on it. So, I think personally, I think there should be a slower speed here. Nobody else cares, so I guess we'll move on.
Is that it?
I can't.
You're talking about your stop sign again, right?
Pardon me?
You're talking about your stop sign?
I'm talking about the stop sign down there and just the speed.
You have anything to say about that, Dave?
I can only give you the stats and the question, the location he was asking about accidents, that's consistent. That was 0. Going to a speed, what Pat is referring to as far as speed on streets, that's a completely different conversation. Whether there was accidents at that location or not accidents.
Is that it then, Pat? Anything else?
Pardon me?
Anything else? Okay, new business then. Any new business? Okay, we'll move on to adjournment. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll move adjournment. Second vote.
Is there, if you want to leave, raise your hand. Please, I'll just have you raise your hand. You want to leave or not? Let's go. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, leave where you can. Yeah, you can't leave, man. We gotta stay after class.
My copy, I have.
You don't have to go home, you can't stay here. I'm gone now.